Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Mitten Backstage. Thanks so much for joining us today. I have with me Kevin Kozel from Third Coast Recording Company. So I'm literally recording this in my car because I've had a really busy schedule, so I won't mince any words. If you are in West Michigan, you know about Kevin Kozel. You know that he's a hardworking musician, the lead engineer at Third Coast Recording Company in Grand Haven, and he plays with Bluewater Kings and is a sideman for a lot of studio sessions and bands. So it was really great to sit down and chat with him like we do every single week at the studio. If you liked today's episode, you can head on over to patreon.com/Snedeker and support to get early access to podcast episodes and exclusive merch. You can also head over to Snedeker.com to see everything else that I'm currently up to around the internet. But feel free to share, like, subscribe, all those good things. But without further ado, let's get into today's conversation with Kevin Kozel. Sometimes that's how I started, is I just, faded in. It's like we were already chatting.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for carving out, a chunk of your busy schedule to hang out and chat, as we do a lot.
Literally every day.
And, for those, a lot of people know you. Now I have to look at a camera to acknowledge we're here in person at Third Coast Recording Company. I have an office in the back, Kevin's old office, actually, and then he's in here a lot with clients. This is the mixing board. There's a lot of things you can check out on the website, but a lot of people know Kevin from this place, and then if they've gigged with him in Bluewater Kings, but there's, a whole journey, a whole arc, ups and downs leading up to the point that I'm sure people might be interested about. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your background?
Well, I guess, yeah, it's actually, it's not as many like ups and downs as you might think. It's pretty much like, it's been like I've been slowly climbing a staircase,
Right.
I haven't fallen off that staircase really, it's maybe plateaued for a split second, but it's like
Long
steps. It's always kind of gone up. So when I started playing guitar specifically when I started when I was 12, and then, liked it, and then I almost died because of a hip problem. And then I was basically on bed rest for like a year, so I just played my guitar for like 8 hours a day, and then after 8 months or something, I was just like, I got pretty good at it pretty quickly. So then I started playing out with like, I met a lot of like the Muskegon, like we still play with now, like John Gist, Robert Pace. Like I met Dave Rux was the guy who introduced me out to all those people. But I started playing. It's like started to learn how to play R&B, soul, and funk.
Yeah,
with all those people, and then did that for a couple years. But then I started to, I started my first band when I was 16, and then we played one gig, and it was this huge battle of the bands. And then we won, and the prize was like, an album and all this, a bunch of money and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so we recorded an album. Then immediately I went from never playing shows. Like, I played like, like with like some of those cats that I just mentioned. But
right.
I went from, started my first band just like playing music in an apartment, and then we won this huge battle of bands, and then everybody knew who we were, and we were like a heavy hitter in like, the West Michigan scene back in the day. And then we just started touring. So I did that for years.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to skip school all the time, which was great. Like, I always tell people, I was like, I went to high school for like a year and a half probably.
Yeah.
It didn't even apply to college. So
yeah, between the year of bed rest and then rock band life.
Yeah, and then I would milk those too when I was like skipping school. It's like, no, I'm on tour. A week later, like go back to school.
Still on tour.
Still on tour. Yeah, and then but then I met Scott Pilgrim around that time too, and I was like 16, and then we became close shortly after that. And then the band that I was in was doing really well. We were touring everywhere. We had a huge fan base. We sold thousands and thousands of CD. Like everything was going great.
Yeah.
But I had to do everything. So I love my if any of them see this, like, it's not like I'll say this to their face, but like,
right.
Like they made me do everything. I wrote all the music. I wrote the freaking lyrics, and I don't even like do that at all.
No.
And then like and then I have to like promote, book gigs, do all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm the busiest one here, and I'm doing all this stuff. And then I met Scotty, and I was just like, I quit. We were like at the top of our game. We were like playing in front of like 15,000 people, and like every gig we had was like thousands of people, and every single person had our shirt on. You know,
Right.
we make a bunch of money, and then and then pretty much at the top of that point, like I quit, and then started doing more of the freelance stuff, which is how we met, basically. Or, you know, so the same stuff that we do, and then. Well, then there was Garrett Borens.
Oh yeah,
I forgot about that.
Involved in that, yeah.
That was another. I almost made it a few times.
You hear that, kids?
Real close to making it. But
well, and it like to tell the story. I can't remember what the first band you were in.
Death by Dancing.
Death by Dancing.
Yeah.
I was like Dancing by Daylight. No,
Daylight. Dance Macabre.
Daylight Savings Dance.
Yeah, Death by Dancing.
You know, it's like that. That's kind of, there's always that joke within every band. Every band's got like, you know, this person does 50 million things, and then this person plays drums, or you know, like this person is our, you know, booking agent, producer, you know, creative director, like just does everything, and then we just play in that band. But after, you know, it doesn't matter how successful if, you know, you don't feel supported or reciprocated, and but yeah, to like have that experience so young is probably like, you know, not a lot of people. I think of like Myron Elkins right now, who's like, you know, touring all these venues. He's signed to William Morris. He's like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
And I'm always curious with those young artists, because it's like, or, you know, like even like Justin Schultz when he was starting to pop off at like 13, it's like, it's like how there's a level of appreciation, but it's also like that could be super overwhelming in like, I don't know, developmental years of teenagerdom, teenagehood.
Yeah, I feel like you grew up fast. It's like it's like I wasn't going to school. I'm like running a busy group, you know. And it's also a different, having a band like that. I mean, you probably know this with Earth Radio, but like when I do like all these like I'm playing at Egypt Valley tomorrow or Friday.
Right.
I don't have to tell anybody about that.
No.
Like it's a private place. Like, and like if I'm doing a Bluewater Kings gig or something, you know, these private events, it's like no need to post anything about it, you know, just show up, you make a bunch of money, and then you go home.
Yep.
And but when you're doing a band like this, especially because we were really young, and so like when I was 17 years old and like this little skinny emo kid, you know, basically, like, and then like if I was the cute young one in the band with long hair. It's hard to imagine now because I've been bald forever, but you know, there's like you're interacting with fans, so it's like this constant sort of, it's like almost like there's like a culture that kind of, you know, develops around, you know, like the like through the support of liking your band. It's like even when I was with Garrett Borens, one of the funniest stories I've like one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me in this case, like of like a, like not paparazzi, but like, you know, like a stupid fame thing or whatever.
Right.
When I first met Emily Petersmark.
Oh yeah.
From the Crane Wives, we hit it off immediately. We just became really close friends so we, you know, she'd come to Grand Haven. We just like, you know, walk around, like walk the beach or walk the pier, or whatever.
Yeah, just hang out.
Yeah. And so we were walking the pier one time, and you know, talking about whatever, and there was like a group of like 6 like teenage girls, much younger than me too. So like I was probably I was just not a teenager because I was like in my early 20s. But
oh yeah,
but we're talking like 13, you know,
right, like young,
very young, young teens. And like one of them like turns around and like looks at me and like turns back around, and then she like does a double take, and then she like puts her arms around all her friends, and then all these like there's like 6, 7 or 8 like girls just turn around and their jaws just drop, and Emily and I knew exactly what that meant, and I was just like, shut your fucking mouth, do not say a single freaking word. And we just like kept walking the pier. She was making fun of me the whole time. Like, you know, like that's where that was weird. Like people would leave notes on my, like they found out where I lived, and like there's like notes on my car, and then like people also didn't like us because of that. So like I'd also wake up in the morning and there'd be like pasta sauce and like spaghetti on my car. That happened a dozen times.
Whoa.
And then there'd be like love notes too on both Garrett and I's doors, you know. It's like super weird.
It's like, everyone, can we just calm down?
Yeah. That doesn't happen to me anymore.
Yeah. You're like, what did you say about preamps? I'm falling asleep. I want to know about superstars.
And nobody's vandalizing my house anymore.
Yeah. I think that's something that a lot more musicians are becoming privy to. Like, there's finding that balance of like, not everyone's going to be like like a Kanye, some insanity level fame that just rots you from the inside out. But like, most people are trying to find that balance of like, I want people to know what I do, but I also don't want crazy people, fanatics that are going to like, make just getting from point A to point B difficult, or living life, or
that's why I like production. I get to just hide in this little room all day.
And there's like 5 sets of doors I have to get.
You like this winter, like because it gets dark so early. Like I always like have some degree of seasonal depression at some point in the wintertime. And
right.
Obviously that's mostly attributed to just the fact that the sun doesn't come out for a month or two straight.
Yeah.
Where we live, and we literally live in like the cloudiest place in North America. Like I don't think there's even like Portland.
Yep.
West Michigan, and then we're close to the lake, so it's like we always just have if the wind blows at all, it's like, oh, there's overcast.
Yeah.
But oh shoot, where was I going with that?
Oh, the overcast.
Oh yeah, and coming into work here, like it's like from going from touring bands, culture, like people know who you are, like, and you're in a lot of fans or whatever, and then going into production, nobody knows who you are, nobody cares. But all the musicians like you, so that's fun. But I can walk into here and like literally I'm by myself in a room, and then there's these curtains that we closed them before this, but like that's one of the first things I do. Bill always opens them. But like I'll get here 10 11 o'clock in the morning, and then it's like overcast, and I'm just like, screw it. I shut everything, I turn all the lights down and like dim the lights in here, turn Pro Tools to dark mode, and I'm just like, and by the time I get done too, it's dark, so I'm just gonna embrace it.
Right.
Just gonna be in the darkness all the time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna well, and it's something I think I've had to amend too with the recent couple years and being at home more. I see the value of having more things that I can like, or having more things in places I can kind of retreat to, and I'm not wanting to be inundated with like, not that it's like a fame level that's like I can't walk the streets, but like just even if it's a positive thing, the energy that I have to be ready to give, I want to be more present and available versus being like, yep, hi, I saw you. Okay, I gotta go.
Smile and nod.
It's 2 a.m.
Yeah. Quick wave.
And having like, I don't know, more stuff that like, because I've been thinking a lot, this part of this year is going to be like, I'm going to update my prescription for my glasses and like, get a hearing test and get some molds and, start getting those things.
Yeah, we're getting old. We gotta start taking care of ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and especially now that I'm, because of sound and because of being in more studio sessions and doing more listening, I'm painfully aware of like, even yesterday I realized that this cheap little headphone amp that had like these tubes in it that just looked cool, and my desktop didn't have a sound card, so I needed something to run the audio to, and I noticed that when the unit gets hot, and I could hear it when I turn the volume, it oscillates a certain frequency, so I was hearing like very faintly, and I'm like, has that been my entire year? It's just been like a slow drip of this frequency.
I went to go see Tool last night.
Oh, I had that rehearsal, but I literally got invited by a friend to go see it, and I was like, I can't.
It was completely sold out. It was crazy. I haven't been around that amount of people, like a sea of people, in like 4 years. And thousands. It was terrible.
Just so
it was awful. I mean, it was great. The show was great, but like I got home, and of course my ears are ringing. Luckily, it wasn't actually too loud. I've been to much louder shows. Tool is like, they're not a loud band. They tell stories with their music, and it gets heavy, but then a lot of times it just chills out for a while. So like honestly, like in a whole tune, like their biggest freaking like loudest part is like 9 hits. Right. 3/4 of the way through the song, so it wasn't like crazy loud, but I forgot earplugs. Oh, because I couldn't find it when I got home. I was like, whatever, it'll be fine. But But when I got home, my ears are ringing, and like that stuff, I'm like, man, I really like don't like that, because I'm like, even like knowing that I had to mix all day today too, I'm like what if I just like, because I played a gig one time with SP3, and we were headlining this festival up in like outside of Marquette or something a couple years ago, and it was just like the whole day was like really relaxed, and then like we got up on stage, and like the entire festival like bum rushed the stage basically. We're like, oh crap, we're like rock stars up here, let's shred,
Yeah,
because most of that music was mostly improv anyways. So
oh right,
so if everybody's feeling it, you can kind of like, in an improv environment, that energy translates to like, let's shred our balls off, And then of course like our monitors are loud, we got big amps and it's all super loud, and I don't know the right word for it, but I think it's I perforated my eardrums. I think is it.
Oh yeah.
So both of them. So the next day when I was like driving back home in my car, like I remember like listening to music and I couldn't hear a kick drum. If I could just feel the vibration of it, so it sounded like instead of being like
yeah, it was just like this the sensation.
Yeah, it was all muffled like this. For like I couldn't really hear the top end, but then the low end too was just like it didn't turn into sound when I heard it, and I'm like, and that took like, it was painful too. It was like, it felt like not like a headache. It was more like pressure. It was weird.
Yeah,
it was not comfortable, and that I think I had that for like 2 weeks or something, and I was like, I really need to be more careful. Oh my god, like because once you lose your hearing, you don't get it back. So
no, and when I think of like, having so many musicians in my family, like I know one of my uncles suffers from tinnitus in his left ear, and he, he's a performer and studio engineer, and he always has to like, it's like he's isolated what his tinnitus is, or like what frequencies or what things, and so he has to like account for that. And I wonder if he works with like, I assume since his other ear's fine, he can deal with it, but I wonder if he like has a people he can like send tracks to and be like, I mixed it but I have tinnitus, so I can't hear this range very well.
Yeah, and even with tinnitus, like it's like I was just being a ringing, it's not like hearing loss, I don't think, I'm not sure, still it's like all that stuff is terrifying, because a lot of people, especially like people that did all the big shows in the 70s and 80s and stuff, like they did lose their hearing and that would suck. Have you seen The Sound of Metal?
Yeah. No, is that the?
You should watch it.
Is that on Netflix?
It's really good. I believe so. That or like Amazon or something. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
But if you didn't look it up on Google or whatever. But it's about this drummer who loses his hearing. He's in a metal band or whatever. But that it would have been so fun to engineer that, because the sound design on it is insane. Like it's like. Yeah, it's so bizarre, but it's made like I think they even had like consulting with somebody like who's either deaf or, had lost their hearing. So all the sounds and stuff, like what he's playing, it's really muffled and weird and stuff. But it's actually like, it gives you anxiety when you watch it. That's kind of the point of it.
Yeah.
But it's like, imagine like banging metal cymbals when you're deaf though, and then that's what they show like the viewer, like through like the sound design or whatever. And it's like I saw that, and then the whole movie is just completely depressing, because he basically can't do his career anymore, and then his life kind of falls apart. And I'm like, I don't want to end up like that.
I don't want to. Well, and I feel like there's a shift, especially in like modern metal groups. Like there's still obviously the people who they'll tour and they're just like, our music's for people to fight to in the crowd. And then there are people like like Periphery. I think of like Matt Halpern and how he, like, aside from just like, oh, I have the good in ears, I have because I know I'm gonna smack my kit. There's like a whole lead up to tour regimen that he has with like a personal trainer and like certain therapies, and
he's ripped too.
Yeah, he's like almost 40, and I'm like, you look great for it.
Yeah, the key is don't drink alcohol.
Yep.
Work out constantly every day. And maybe make a bunch of money. That's really all you need.
That's all. Well, and I've been thinking about just overall the like not really. I think the last time I had alcohol was like sometime in 2020, and it was just like a beer or two. So
I'm drinking a beer right now.
Yeah. And I'm drinking this whatever this, it's like a watermelon sparkling drink from this company, Blue Monkey.
Interesting.
And I don't know where they're based, but it looks like Vietnam.
Oh, that's what that was gonna be my second guess.
Yeah, it's good. But like, yeah, noticing the, as I'm getting healthier, Justin's gotten way healthier. Hannah's always been healthy. David's
Just the definition of health.
Yeah, and David, all the Earth Radio members, everyone's improving their health, and it helps like shoulder all the burden of like the daily work of being a musician a lot better.
Definitely.
Than like, oh, what if I was just, drunk all the time?
That was like when I was touring when I was younger, like the first band that I toured with. Yeah, it really actually kind of Garrett too, but with Garrett, like we had like a tour bus, it was really comfortable. Like we would always get put up in nice places. But we had a big team and funding and investors and stuff like that. Whereas the first band that I had was more like a garage band that won Battle of the Bands, this one Battle of the Bands, and then just like blew up way more than we were expecting to it, in a very short period of time. So we had like a really crappy van, everybody smoked cigarettes. We would drink those, the BFCs. The big huge monsters. So like, because we're literally
32 ounce.
Yeah, we drove ourselves everywhere. We didn't have a driver like we did with Garrett. So like when I was on tour with Garrett, like we'd be in the like it'd be like Joe Dart and me and Garrett like just like jamming or just messing around in the back, whereas the other one we're like, we're just chain smoking cigarettes and like drinking Monster at 4 a.m.
Okay, whose turn?
Eating McDonald's and like the crappiest food.
Yeah, I think about that with like, Earth Radio hasn't done super far travels, but like, if we play Chicago or Ohio or something, where it's like more than 1 hour of driving.
You guys have to take the same car? No, you guys probably carpool. You guys don't have a van.
Yeah, we've been, the last trip we did for Otis Supply and 20 Front Street over on the east side, those were in Hannah's car because David lives in Ypsi.
Okay.
So he drove separate for those gigs, and then we were able to fit everybody with our gear in Hannah's car.
Oh my God.
The CRV, and
you and Justin are not small dudes
no.
either.
and that's after we've both lost. Like, I can't imagine if we were trying to do this if we were both like over 300 pounds, like, trying to like shove us in a and but yeah, because like that's, I think of 2019, the last time we were super busy. That was only like we did our second album, and it was our second year as a band. But that summer was like where like we have all these dates in a row out of state. Can we backline a bunch of stuff? We did that for Ohio last fall. Like, what could we backline so that we can all fit in one car? And luckily, Tree No Leaves was super helpful with that. They backlined drums, and Howard's Club H has put way too much money into their stage. Went from like leftover from the 90s or 80s, like carpet and not a lot of infrastructure, to like, they got like a projection wall with 2 projectors and like, a House Kawai digital keyboard and like a grand piano shell and like a Hammond and another synth and a newer bass rig. And so we're always keeping an eye out for like, we'll book this venue and we know we can all fit in a car versus like having to take 2 or 3 cars.
You guys should have bought Andy Frissinger's like 80s van.
Oh, I didn't know he was selling it or sold it.
He sold it, yeah. That is like the Earth Radio van. Stupid like space car. I don't even know.
The spaceman car. Yeah, we're keeping our, because we've seen how like the Desmond Jones crew, like they bought that 15 passenger one, or like the Rainbow Seekers have one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Accidentals just got one, a new one, maybe. I don't know. I'm just seeing people who are like back on tour.
Haven't
like,
asked them.
Yeah. But yeah, it is a lot of like, because if you're already doing a bunch of work for a band and then you're still having to do, it's like, I have to drive, I have to feed, I have to house, I have to versus like, I think of like working Founders Fest that last time I worked with Government Mule was the headliner.
Oh yeah.
And they had a whole crew show up at like 10 and set up all of their stuff and tested it and staged it, and then they were just on the tour bus all day. Like I don't think they ever got off the tour bus. And just walked on stage and hammer and nails or whatever I don't know any of their songs.
I don't know any of their songs either.
But yeah, I don't know. That's partly why I like coming here too. I'm going to be doing it more now that it's getting warmer and I have a lot of things to do, but
get to the busy season.
Yeah, but it was
almost through.
Yeah. I was surprised that, I mean, with Normal Mode's residency and other things happening, it felt like a busy February.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like client work's picked up here a lot over the last year.
So much so. Yeah. I mean, it's been the transition's been a lot
from nothing to like 80-hour
Well,
weeks.
no, I mean, really since the pandemic, like since I started doing like the chief engineer role here.
Yeah.
It picked up really quick. I mean, like it even during the pandemic, like obviously, you know, we were working together a lot and with the Earth Radio album. But then there was quite a bit of other stuff that I was working on during that time. And then the second we can like open up again, like that was the busiest summer we had ever had.
Oh.
Up to that point.
Wow.
And it was also the busiest fall we ever had, and it's the busiest winter I think we've ever had. And it's continuing to be so it's like, I mean, I'm basically booked every day, you know.
Yeah.
It's like as much as I'm able to work, you know, there's work to be done.
Yeah.
And that it always seems like it's going to stop, and then like, you know, it seems like, oh, next week's not going to be or like the next 2 weeks look like, you know, pleasantly slow. and then I'll wake up to like 6 text messages and I'll be like, never mind.
Yeah, Tuesday's good.
Yeah, never mind.
Okay.
No, it's been really consistent here. A lot of new projects too, like a lot of just people I've never met before, you know, like people that are like kind of outside my circle. Cause for, a lot of the work that I tend to do, like a lot, like, I don't know, not most of it's repeat work,
right?
Like repeat clients and stuff, but it's definitely people that I've developed relationships with already, you know, in the past or whatever. But lately I've met so many new people lately. I was like, I can't even believe how many like bands and artists are in West Michigan.
Yeah. I'm constantly like, even if it's not like a new, like, I don't know any of these people and there's a band and they're doing something, you know, like I think of like, you know, Fake Baseball, like that band is like born out of 3 bands.
Mm-hmm. That's what's kind of nice about West Michigan though. Like everybody like for the most part like tend to like, it's like this big team, you know, that's continuing to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like you'll always have heard of people, you know, like that's always like a thing like I've heard a lot about you, kind of thing. But like when I met like the legal immigrants like recently, they're just like like heard so much about you.
You're real people.
Yeah. You don't look like one. Yeah. You guys look like rock stars.
Yeah. There's so many new artists, and then I think as much as I heard, you know, people, you know, shifting their focus, you know, for what they could realistically earn with touring and gigging shutting down.
Yeah.
It's like for every one person that's like gone part-time or full-time away from music, or, you know, supplemented music somehow with another job, there's a bunch more people that are like, oh, I'm going to be a musician. You're like, wow, like you're starting now. Like that's, you'd think like more people would be like, oh, I don't think this is the time with how crazy it is. But I think more people are taking chances.
Definitely. Yeah. The Great Resignation.
No one wants to work.
Really, honestly, now with how little everything pays, like being a musician, I was like, oh, that's the best decision I ever made. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
so much easier. You guys got to hustle a little bit harder next week, and then back to good.
Well, and I'm waiting on. It'll probably be out when this podcast is out, but the podcast I did with Steph Belcher where we just went over my finances for like 3 hours. And she was like, you know, she just kind of helped break down like, you know, like this is kind of how you can think. Like you could, you know, break it down into small chunks and be like, oh, okay, instead of like, oh, I have to earn this much every month. It's like, okay, I need, you know, in these 2 weeks, I need this much money, which is like 3 gigs or something. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, if I want, it's 3 gigs at this price, could I get, you know, 2 gigs at a higher price? Could I get 1 gig that's, you know, gonna, you know, like a Bluewater King that pays like $700 or something.
That's why I do the private events now. Like I can work just on Saturday, and that's all the money I would make all week. I'll take it.
Yeah, and I think people don't. Well, I know people don't. Like some people who hire musicians, they don't understand. I mean, they understand contract work to an extent, but they also don't, you know, I think the whole issue with this company that's booking at the Marriott that was like, yeah, you can play for 3 hours and it's $400 and you get paid within a month. I'm like, what?
A month?
Yeah, I'm like, I was expecting like, because Grand Valley used to do that. They would, you know, I'd get hired for like $50 at a, you know, farmer's market for an hour, and then I would get a check in 2 weeks that was taxed and it would be like $43. I was like, why? Oh, we had to enter you into payroll. I'm like, I'm not.
That happened to me one time. I was doing something. I was doing a film, like a film thing, and it was for the BBC, and I was getting paid by the BBC to do it. But because of the fact that it was international, and it was this big corporation, obviously, I think it took me like a year to get paid. But it was like this cool show, you know, like, so like, and it's just like, you know, it's just the whole show is just me playing flamenco guitar basically, you know, but like in this like dark, like, you know, Tool kind of way, you know, so it's like I basically do a new metal on it with flamenco influence, you know, and so it's all really dark and really weird and like scratching strings, making weird sound effects and stuff, and so it's cool, like it was fun to do that, you know, but for the Marriott, for like a hotel lobby, like to have to wait, yeah, I know, that's
and it also came off of the back of they had someone booking the jazz there for the restaurant or the lobby or whatever they had it, and then, you know, quarantine happened. They're like, okay, we're not hosting shows, so we're focusing on other things, keeping our chains running with, you would expect, millions of dollars, and and then when they brought it back, it wasn't, oh, let's call the guy who was doing it. They just were like, let's, I don't know if it was for a reputation's sake or if they wanted to connect with, I think it was they wanted to connect with a larger agency, because Marriott's not just located in Grand Rapids, so they want like, oh, we want a corporate entity to work with our corporate entity so that all of our locations don't have to, you know, hire Bill or something,
right?
Like, but all that did for GR is like some people took those gigs, but most people were like, this is stupid.
Well, especially because like, I mean, I always find it funny when I have to deal with like with booking, like if I have to deal with somebody who's like weird about stuff, like you know, where they're like they need your W-2s, and they're like, you're only giving me $500, like why would I give you my W-2 information, like just give me $500, like every, like most people who book bands, like it's kind of semi under the table a lot of times, like it's just
if it's
out
under
of the till, or like
yeah,
and even if it's over 600, I mean, I've gotten paid, you know, $1,000 for a gig, and like, and a lot of times, like, you know, if it's like a big gig like Founders or something, I understand, but there's been so many times where I've been basically paid kind of half under the table, and it's just like, even if it is around 600 or over $600, like I'm not, there's still just like whatever, you know, just and then there's other people on the flip side that are like, you need to play for 3.5 hours and sign a W-2, you know, it's like, I can't, like, and like, and you cannot take a longer than a 15-minute break, and you have to play like 60-minute sets, and then this, you know, it's like, I'm like, wait a minute, like I'm not giving you a rider, but like, you know what I mean, like you're hiring me to provide music from this time to this time. Does it really matter? Like why are you like micromanaging, you know?
Right.
And like when people do that, you're like those people. What I've don't seem to last very long.
No.
Because like they're like, oh, like they're like to be a good promoter, you have to have good relationships with your clients that you're booking, and then if everybody just hates you,
Yeah.
because of I don't know, those types of people, like the type A personalities that are like doing. Then yeah, I don't like working with those people.
Yeah, I've started doing the if someone sends me an offer for a gig that I don't like, but I have the date open,
Mm-hmm.
I price really high, and then if I end up getting it, then I make a ton more money.
Right.
But
It's totally more worth it.
yeah, it's like, oh, you want me to play 3 hours, and I have to drive an hour and a half, and I have to bring a PA, and I can only take 2 breaks. It'll be 1,500. And then I had that happen in the fall, and they just retracted the request. They didn't even email me back. But I am going to be playing that venue with actually in the summer, which is funny. I mean, they probably won't remember that interaction because it was through Gig Salad. That
Gig salad.
It's like
Sounds naughty.
it's something I signed up for in when I was at Grand Valley, because it was a site that is supposedly geared towards freelance musicians and getting them connected with clients, and every 3 months, 4 months I'll get an offer. Usually most of the offers I get are like, can you do a private party for too much time and not enough money, or can you play in a church on the other side of the state for not enough money?
Good offers.
And it's like, can you play this church that has probably insane gospel arrangements, and can you just do it?
and then you have to write charts for everything too.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know, it's one. It's like one in relation to what? It's like I can hear it and feel it, but I need more direction than just I don't know how people. I see Kenny Matthews when he's directing his band. And there's times where he's just doing the quick 3, 4, 7. I'm like, I would miss all of them. 4.
Yeah, I feel like there's got to be within the gospel world. There's this language that develops, in communication.
Synergy.
When you're playing that I don't have. Because it's kind of like I remember doing when I first started playing out and doing the open jams and stuff, when I'm 16 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember playing, and I'm leading because it's kind of oh, here's my idea, everybody's backing me up, and then all of a sudden the song's going on for 9 minutes, and and you're just like, oh shit, I have to end it. How do I end a song? And you kind of go over everybody, everyone's looking at you,
right?
So let's see who's trying to infiltrate.
Yeah.
Oh, I locked the door.
Oh,
they gave up. It's probably Bill. No, I remember I had to learn. Yeah, that unspoken communication. It's like when we play with singers that don't throw up a hand or something. When the song's about to end and we're all just everybody's looking at her, kind of oh, and then a quick turnaround, all right, and then an ending screwed up or something. You're just man, just let us know.
Yeah, take it out.
Everybody's different. So. Yeah, you always have to cue that. Whatever. Yeah, I remember learning all those forms of communication. That's how you definitely separate immediately an amateur versus somebody who can hang.
Yeah, someone who knows this is how I want to end the song. I know how to play it or sing it really strong, and
yeah, it's hard to explain those things too, because so much of it's just a quick little look, but everybody knows what it means for some reason.
Yeah, and then if you get to the more organized level, you have you might have tracks, or you might have a conductor,
right?
Depending on the production, or that's when I subbed for Wicked, and there was 4 different conductors out of the 6 gigs I had with the 6 gigs subbing, and it would one dude was super precise, he was the main director, knew the show inside and out, but there would be times where he would step out into the audience, and at the end of each week of the show run, and just to observe how the pit was interacting with the cast, and check stuff with the sound people.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2 of the other touring keyboard players were also conductors, but one of them was just kind of I don't know, it reminded me of certain jazz band type things where there's no like there's some jazz band people who know the hits and know how to cue them up and like they're in the music, and then there are other people who are just like they like move their hand, and then they're like the band does the hit and they're like half a beat behind. So that was that guy. He didn't do very basic patterns, not a lot of like clear, like the show. He was like barely looking at us. And then the other person was like super like I feel like he was also a dancer because he just kept like super extending, and like his downbeats would they would hit, but he would also do like a wind up. So I'm like, is this what are you anding beats or like what? It's like and 3 and 4 and ha.
I haven't done a pit in a long time.
Yeah, at least. I mean, I almost was going to be on Footloose this year, but
I've done Footloose 3 times. There we go. We're going to get interrupted.
A special surprise guest.
Wow. Yeah, you can grab your shit.
No, you're fine.
We'll edit it out.
I mean, it's one camera and 2 mics. Now we're just...
Emo, good to see you.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
I was like, people are just talking in there.
It's called a podcast.
Exactly what you guys are doing. I'm just being an idiot.
No, and what was I thinking? Oh, leaving for my trip tomorrow. That's like where my brain is.
Could you just eject the FX drive to FX?
Do. Yeah,
I'm wondering what that drive was.
FX.
I've been putting all my Native Instruments stuff on it.
Oh.
Really?
No.
Yeah, I've been putting core
But
components.
it seems like a place where I should put that stuff.
It's literally, it just has all that stuff. It's like a terabyte of really fast storage. And
Nice.
So you can put.
Is that an SSD?
It's a really little SSD. It's
I
cool.
want one like that size.
Yeah, it's terabyte. It's great. And so then if I ever like you could run like 10 string samples off this.
Yeah.
That's mainly what I use it for.
Yeah.
Because those things just take up so much processing.
Yep.
Yeah, I need something to offload.
You're good.
No, you're fine.
I like to think I'm professional, but then I do shit like this.
I guess before we jump, I was wondering the time too, like how.
2:43.
So we've done
45 minutes.
Oh. Yeah. And we covered a lot of ground too. Career and what you're currently up to, and some things for people to be like, wait, he mentioned BBC. I'm gonna go Google it. But yeah, I don't know. It's good that like we were thinking about, you going to Tool yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm about to be, on 4 planes in a Greyhound bus, 2 different directions, and at a festival in LA. It's like, all right, get used to people again, because
Dude, yeah,
they're everywhere.
It was weird. There was right when I sat down too. There was this giant dude sitting next to me. Like, I mean, he's just just bulging over into my seat, and I have this like weird. I don't like my elbows touching other human beings that I don't know. I don't know why.
Like this.
So it's like if I'm in the middle seat on a plane, like, the rule is the middle person gets 2 arms,
Right.
and then the person on the aisle leans to the left, and then the person in the window can go F themselves because they have a window seat. And when there's when people are just like, when I just have like a full contact, like shoulder to elbow, I'm just, I hate it so much. I go like this, and then my back hurts for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But then I was in the wrong row.
Oh.
I went up one too far. Like, yes,
I have space. Yeah.
There was everybody was so hammered at that Tool show. There was 2 people that I know very, very, very well. One of them just walked right. I mean, he was in my row, and I didn't know that. So all of a sudden, they're going to the bathroom or something, and I'm 3 inches from his face. His face is right in front of me, and I'm like, bro. And you could just see the glaze in his eyes because he was hammered, and then he didn't recognize me. And I'm like, Kevin Kozel, just nothing. And then he got kicked out. So then when I went to go, I left early, and I see him outside, just like, saying, this is BS, blah blah blah. And I went up to him again, and he still didn't know who I was. I'm like, I gotta hit him up today. Hey, good to see you last night, man. Oh, you were there?
I don't remember anything.
Yeah, every single person was like, I was like, everybody was dressed in black, and there was like just the smell of weed everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, this is weird.
Just like concerts, their own. That's. I mean, I guess that's also a fun part. Sometimes it's like you're going to, you know, depending on the venue, you know, that size, it's like you're going to a whole city just full of people who all
Literally,
like one band.
That's a good point, actually. I never thought about it because I live in Grand Haven, and we have 11,000 people here. Van Andel's like a 12,000 capacity, and that was sold out. So there was more people at Van Andel last night than there is in my town that I live.
Yeah, it's like, you know, like, or like, you know, the Big House, or, you know,
125,000 or something crazy.
Yeah.
I've only been there once, and it was insane.
It's like we're a city that accommodates another city's worth of people.
Like a big city, like that's like all of downtown, like that's like all of like the city of Grand Rapids,
Yeah.
or something. Not the metro, not like surrounding, but like this proper city. I think there's like 150,000 people or something.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's
We wonder why we get diseases.
just so many people. Yeah, I'm well, and it'll be a good test too, because I mean, I've done a lot of, you know, driving travel and being in other cities, but not, you know, in planes, on Greyhounds, on, you know.
It's fine.
Yeah,
I've been doing a lot of traveling, and it's not weird.
I'm expecting, you know, just like any place, there'll be the, you know, the random person who's screaming about whatever.
You know, it's funny. Like nobody wears masks anymore. I don't get it. I can't even keep track of it anymore.
Yeah.
It was like a month ago, you would be like chastised.
Yep.
And then now, and I don't think I saw a single person out of 12,000 people wearing a mask at that Tool concert. And they're all, everybody's like I said, I'm just like, I don't know how many butts I accidentally touched, you know, or rubbed up against. And like by far the closest I've been to the most people in years.
Yep.
And a month ago, like that was just that was just not okay.
Yeah.
It's insane to me. I don't even understand.
Yeah, and like it's I don't know. I think, you know, like Coachella, I think kickstarted the, you know, at least publicly, like, hey, we're a huge festival, we're not enforcing these things anymore.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like, you know, there's a big emphasis on like, oh, personal responsibility is gonna. It's like that's never worked ever.
Yeah.
For any, you know, public health measure.
It's literally like a month ago, everybody in the grocery store had masks on, and then I went to that concert yesterday.
Yeah, it's, and you know, there'll be times I'll, you know, if I'm going to the store, you know, at a busy day and it's just packed, I'm like, all right, I'll just toss on. I have my mask with me anyway. Yeah. But then there's other times where it's like it's a gas station at 2 a.m. and there's one person in here.
Plus, like at the store too, I'm like, I'm pretty certain I'm not gonna get this at the store. I'll probably get it going to like my family's house or a party.
Right. Somewhere. Yeah, it's like more or places you're gonna be there longer.
Yeah.
Versus like, yeah, running errands or.
Yeah, I had this like that client that exposed me to COVID for 22 hours a few weeks ago.
Oh. And
I didn't get it. Like, I guess it's good, but like the vaccine.
Oh
vaccine.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
that was the closest I got. I was like, I've been so, I haven't gotten COVID. I've been so lucky.
Yeah.
And then that happened, and I was just like, oh no,
is it happening?
Oh no. I took like 8 tests. I was nervous.
This one doesn't. Let's try this one.
I just don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that person who like accidentally spreads a bunch of COVID everywhere. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll do it with a stomach flu or something. That's fine.
Yeah, something more manageable.
I did that actually. I gave like 4 people the stomach flu, like earlier this winter. I'm so sorry. But it wasn't COVID, so it was fine.
Yeah. So everything was normal.
How did we end up here?
I don't know. Podcasting.
Let's talk about Russia.
Yeah, and current politics. Yeah. But I guess mainly bringing up that point of like things are feeling more normal again. There's more things for everyone to do. There are more. It seems like there's more musicians I'm finding out about a lot.
It seems thriving for sure. I mean, it's nice that the venues are like opening back up. Like that gigs are becoming like I've been booking some more gigs on the side. You know, like not just you know,
The wedding
super
stuff.
yeah, not just like super private ones and stuff. This are kind of just falling into my lap more. Like I'm not actually going out and seeking that work, you know.
Yeah.
Like more people seem excited about it, and then to see like, you know, a sold out show yesterday was pretty cool. Because like I said, I mean like 75% of the people in there probably a month ago like wouldn't have done that, which is crazy, you know.
Right.
You know, so I don't understand what flipped the switch of the horde mentality of things being open and okay, but it definitely seems that way.
I think a lot of people, last thought, I guess, but a lot of people, there's this like, you know, the opposite end of quarantine is like, if I'm gonna go to this thing, I'm gonna just, you know, I'm gonna get as drunk as I can. I'm gonna get, you know, I'm gonna make it a weekend.
Right.
I'm gonna, you know, like everyone's trying to, you know, they're taking like pre-pandemic, you know, like YOLO and tonight's the only night. We only have one night, and like party till it's, you know, forever. And then, you know, they took that into this year and or the last few months and are just like, I have to go here. I have to see these things.
I remember the first party I went to, and it was like, it's like my best friend like at his dad's property up in like Rothbury, you know, like
Yeah.
like they like set up a little festival grounds, you know, and there was only like 14 people, if that, you know, there.
Mhm.
And I remember, but you know, of course, it's like 4 a.m. People are like, everybody's dancing by the big JBL speakers, or you know, like big Bluetooth speakers. And I remember my girlfriend and I were just sitting by the fire because we were just so uncomfortable because we just had not like we had not been in an atmosphere like that in like 2 years or something. 'Cause
Right.
we normally go to festivals and things. It's like we're going to Burning Man this year,
Oh, nice.
and so we're planning that because you have to have like these, you know, we have a big group and it's like an art installation and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like we like doing stuff like that, but then because we didn't do it for so long, it was like really weird.
Yeah.
And then like I remember like the first party I went to, it was like the only reason I even went, I got an Airbnb in Grand Rapids. We stayed at this little tiny house, but then like, you know, it was in walking distance of this party, and it was Mason's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, but they had everybody at the party had just gotten COVID like 2 weeks earlier. So we're like, hey, if there's gonna be a party we're gonna go to, let's go to the one that everybody, you know,
It's
has
already
COVID.
past
So
it.
like they're not gonna have COVID now again, you know.
Right.
Maybe in a few months they will, but yeah. And then this guy, I haven't done anything social at all.
Yeah. So it's, yeah, definitely a better year for socializing, I think.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah. But this is great. I mean, this is what we normally do anyway. Is just chat about
You
everything.
need to put the mic up in front.
Oh,
Kill
yeah.
2 birds.
Yeah. Should I move this?
Yeah, we're good.
But I guess real quick.
Oh yeah, here I won't move it yet.
Yeah. I forgot.
I wasn't sure what you were doing.
Yeah. Just, I don't know, letting people know. I'll put some links in places, but like, you know, if you want people to find you.
I'm a secret musician. You can't find, but I love to record and produce music. So if you wanna make a project together, come to Third Coast Recording Company.
Yeah.
Play with our toys.
There's so many toys. You can browse the website, a bunch of photos. I'm gonna actually start doing more social media.
Are you?
Yeah, I figured the safest thing is the photos that we're taking and just putting them up in like a series of like, you know, here's this mic. You might have heard it on such iconic record, you know.
Yeah.
Like used in these ways.
Yeah.
Just start doing like a showcase of that.
Do you like snare drums?
Yeah.
57.
Here's all the stairs. But yeah, I'm sure, you know, we'll be chatting more in the future, but
Always.
and we're
Not
gonna
going anywhere.
be doing recording and finishing up Earth Radio stuff, and
Yeah, when you get back.
yeah, we're actually thinking the new additional tracks we want to do. And this isn't, I mean, it's spoiler, but it's songs people have heard before. We want to do a proper episode 111 recording and then a proper Dr. Dagatang, and that'll be perfect
Heck
for
yeah.
the split.
I want to re-record. What's that one tune? Over Again.
Oh yeah,
I love that recording though. Was that with Addison?
yeah, that was in Justin's parents' basement.
Oh really?
Yeah,
It's just so like raw. Like even like Hannah's like super bassy vocals, you know.
Yep.
And they're quiet, but like there's so many like there's just like cool little, like every little thing on it has like some coolness to it, you know.
Yep.
It's not just like all glued together, sort of, you know, because we've kind of been doing more like not wall of sound, but like there, you know,
Yeah.
it's like it's not like things just don't like exist by themselves. They're usually accompanied with some other type of thing from some other thing, you know. There's not like a bunch of open space, you know, in like a lot of stuff we've been working on, which is, but then compared to that one, it sounds so different, you know. It's just like it's like a totally different direction kind of thing, but it's pretty cool too. But man, I just think of just like I love that song. So I'm excited to do some old stuff like this. I mean, Justin didn't tell me that.
Yeah, we just talked about it today. So
Oh, there you go. That's
at
why.
the Zoom meeting, but
Yeah, I haven't talked to Justin since yesterday. So
yeah. Cool.
cool.
Yeah. I'll probably just fade out.
Yeah, right.
Bye. Fading out. Learning podcast.
No.